Thanks, everybody, for tuning into the podcast today. As always, I am Mike Monteforte, and I am really excited about this one. I think that this episode of the podcast is going to be very, very interesting to our clients and really, really useful. So my guest today is Michelle McNall from ABC Home Healthcare Professionals. Michelle, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and taking the time. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Mike, for inviting me. I appreciate it, and I'm really looking forward to today.
Me too. I think that you've got some just great information to share that, again, I think our clients are really going to appreciate and find useful. So let's do this. Let's just jump right in. Give me the real short answer. Tell me who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Mike. And like you mentioned, my name is Michelle McNall. I am the Business Development Manager here at ABC Home Healthcare Professionals. We are a local home care agency, and we have 3 locations. Our headquarters are in Wakefield, Massachusetts, and we also have 2 satellite offices, one in Gloucester, Massachusetts, and the other one in Lawrence, Massachusetts. So we offer a variety of home care services throughout Metro Boston, North Shore, throughout Cape Ann, and the Merrimack Valley.
Awesome. So that's perfect. And we're gonna get more into the details about what home care is. I think there are a lot of misunderstandings about
Absolutely.
even just that, what home care is, what type of services are available, how somebody even begins and starts this journey, because I think a lot of people are kind of freeze up at the beginning because they're not sure what to do. But before we get to that, before we even get there, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to know what got you to where you are. How'd you get into this type of work, helping the population that you help every single day? What was your journey like to get to where you are now?
Thank you so much for asking that question. And that's something that I don't get asked often, but I love to answer that question. So my career started, I worked in an investment firm. I worked my way up the ranks there, and then I went into medical devices. And while I appreciate the professional experience I had at both of those entities, I really felt the disconnect as far as, aligning with the mission or what my heart was telling me to do. So I was doing a job and I loved the job, but I was like, there's just something missing, right? And truth be told, it was like divine intervention when I saw this posting with ABC about 5 years ago. And I applied and wound up getting this dream job, really, of working with, older adults and seniors. And why this is so important to me, why I'm so aligned with this, is ultimately because of my grandmother, my nanny, Regina. She passed away in 2008. I grew up, she was my other parent. We grew up in the same house. She had an amazingly positive impact on my life, had a huge part in shaping me in who I am. And towards the end of her life, she was failing, and I was there to take care of her, as was my mom and sister. And again, it was a little bit easier because we were living in the same house. But, I just felt so grateful that we were there, that we were able to care for her at the end years of her life. Keep her living safely and independently at home, because that's what she wanted to do. She didn't want to leave the house. And as long as it was safe for her to do so, we wanted to make sure that could happen. And a lot of that came down to us all pulling our weight into making sure that she was able to have her wish. And I don't regret that for a single second. And I do remember I was young at the time. I had just, when she passed away, I was a freshman in college. And I remember taking care of her when I was, in high school, and being like, what do people do that don't have this situation? Right. And, you're young, so you have no idea about what's out there. You don't know what services are there and all that. So I just remember being like, oh, well, everyone must have their family members living with them or someone that's there to take care of them, right? And now working in this space, I know that's not always the case, but that's why
Right.
ABC is here to be able to give folks living at home the same opportunity that my grandmother had. So if they don't have friends or family members or acquaintances or that can help take care of them in the home, they come to an organization like ABC and we provide caregivers to them. And honestly, I know that how appreciative my grandmother was for us doing that and for her being able to stay home. And that's why I really believe it's part of my life's mission to make sure that other people, if that's the route that they want to go, have that opportunity as well. It's super important because older adults and elders, they've worked their entire life. They've worked so hard and they deserve to get what they want. They deserve to age in place gracefully and with dignity. And that's why I'm really passionate about what I do. And I just love my organization because truly there's heart in everything that we do. And we're not a big corporation, right? We're not run by businessmen or businesswomen. We are owned and operated by a geriatric nurse manager with over 4 decades of experience in the healthcare system. And, it's so nice not having to go through, different levels of red tape. When you start getting into those bigger franchises and things like that, you're dealing with red tape here, there, and everywhere. And, who can just call up and talk to the owner? At ABC, you can do that. So we are a, private family-owned organization, and family and heart is really at the core of everything that we do here.
And I love that. And your passion for it comes out. And you and I have talked about it before the podcast about, you're passionate about what you do. I'm passionate about what I do. I love how you say, kind of divine intervention, that right place, right time for you to see this job opening. I tell people a lot of times that I didn't choose elder law, it chose me.
Absolutely.
Because my grandfather got sick. And so it was a similar kind of situation as to what you had to deal with, helping your family. That was my road here as well. But having that personal experience, I feel like even just hearing you talk about it, it shines through with, how important it is to you. And I love that, because you don't see that everywhere.
Yeah, and that's what I'm most proud of, really, is the fact that, this isn't just something that I do to get paid. It's my job. I take pride in it, but this is something, it's much larger for me than bringing home a paycheck. It really is.
Yeah, and I can tell that it's obvious when you speak about your experience. So let's talk a little bit more about kind of some of the details and maybe debunk a few of the kind of misnomers out there. So let's start with just looking at home health care for people that don't know, or maybe have an inkling but aren't sure. What is it? What is home health care? Start there.
Excellent. Well, so home health care is really anything that you need it to be that involves caring for someone and keeping them living safely and independently in their homes, if that's where they choose to be. So, for instance, ABC offers a variety of home care services ranging from companionship, where one of our caregivers will go in and they'll just, sit and have coffee or just have a chat with someone. Maybe an elder or an older adult finds it difficult to get in and out of the home and they can't really get socialization elsewhere. So you can have someone come in and hang out with them for a bit. And honestly, sometimes that's their best, 3 hours of the day is when they can just sit and chat and maybe play a card game or something like that. We also have shopping, and that can be non-contact shopping. That was really big during the pandemic. Now that things have opened up a little bit, people feel a little bit more comfortable with folks coming in and out of their home. But
Sure.
we have caregivers that will go out and they will do your grocery shopping. They will go pick up your medications at the pharmacy, and they'll come in and they'll put everything away for you. So it's really nice for people that, again, they just are finding it a little bit more difficult to get out. Maybe they don't have a means of transportation to get to the grocery store, or the pharmacy, and things like that. We also offer homemaking, where our caregivers will go in and do some light housekeeping. So, whether it's washing floors, wiping down counters, they'll do some meal prep, make sure that, you have something to eat. And again, they sit and they talk with you as well. So you're kind of getting the companionship and you're getting the homemaking end of things when you get a homemaker. And then, of course, we have home health aides, which help with personal care. So, going to the bathroom, taking a shower, things like that. And we also we do in-home modifications. So that's been really popular for folks who are, they're getting discharged from maybe a rehab or a recent hospital stay, and maybe they need a ramp to get in and out of the house now. Well, we can do that for you. And we have a ABC licensed contractor that will come and discuss all of the various options for you. We also have nursing. So our nurses will go out and they'll assess the clients, and they can do medication management, because that becomes really, really important, especially as older adults and elders start to develop early symptoms of dementia, and maybe remembering to take a pill kind of slips their mind.
Sure.
That becomes really important to make sure that they are getting the meds that they need to be able to control some of their ailments. And we also have our assisted living at home program, which is also 24/7 care or live-in caregiving. So basically you could there's a couple of options there. You could either have someone that, actually comes in and has a room at your house and takes care of you. That doesn't mean that they're getting their mail sent to your house. It's not like that. But they're there for you 24/7. Or there is a way that we can split it up into 2 12-hour shifts, so that someone is always there. So if someone wakes up often in the middle of the night, that's the route that we will likely suggest, just because, obviously everyone needs sleep. So, but there are a couple different options, and, and there's so many others, but realistically, I think the thing that I want to point out, which is most important, is that not all home care is created equal, right? So home care services are highly customizable. The great thing,
Right.
One of the great things about ABC is that we don't have a, client care coordinator that's going out and doing these assessments. So for instance, it's not someone like me, who I'm more of a business mind, right?
Right.
We have our licensed RNs that are going out. So our licensed nurses are the ones that are going out, they're assessing the client, and they have the clinical knowledge to be able to come up with a customized care plan that is going to be best suited for that individual and their individual needs. So all of the direction that we take is from our nurses. And again, I think that that's so critically important to remember, is that, you don't have someone that's just going in saying, okay, I think they need this. Our nurses are going in and saying, okay, well, based on X, Y, and Z, this is why they need these services or this service. So that is what home care is in a nutshell. But of course, everyone has different questions, and I'm always happy to answer those questions, have conversations, meet with clients and family members. That's what I do. That's my role. So.
Gotcha. And I like that, again, the fact that you've got RNs going out there to make these determinations, because, when it comes to what I do, I try and stay in my own lane. So I'll tell people a lot of time, I probably can't build you a house. I probably can't fix your car. This is what I can do. So having the right people to go out there and make these assessments, so that they're recommending the right services for people, and the services that are appropriate and are going to keep them safe and happy in their homes, and making sure that that's coming from someone like, again, an RN like you guys use, that has experience and knows how to deal with this, is really important. Do you find given the range of services, right? You talked about everything from companionship all the way to the kind of other end of the spectrum where we're talking about 24-hour care. Do you find that people are surprised at kind of the range of different services because they might have some preconceived idea in their head of what home care is, and then you go through all these different things and they go, oh my God, I had no idea that you could do all this.
Absolutely. And that's why I think that I've always believed that the best decision you can make is one that's well informed. And you can't possibly think that people are going to know everything, especially about this topic, because it's one of those things where until you go through it or until you need it, it's not something that necessarily people are just looking up for fun, right?
No.
So, and I know myself,
Right.
even like I said, when I was taking care of my grandmother, I didn't know that this was a thing. It wasn't until
Sure.
I actually got into the business that I was like, wow, there is just, it's almost like a vault of information and resources that, when you're in it, you unlock it and you're like, wow, this is incredible. But I don't want to keep all that information for myself. I want to share that with other people who may need it. And so a lot of people, when they think about home care, yeah, they think about someone coming in and, attending to personal care, which again is like helping someone go to the bathroom or get showered. But they don't realize that there are all these other aspects. And that kind of leads me to my point about the first myth in home care. I feel like people just say, okay, well, geez, if I start home care, that means I need to have someone helping me go to the bathroom and taking me for a shower. And I don't need
Yeah.
that yet. That's
Yeah.
okay. That's totally fine, because you might not need that yet. But maybe you're like, hey, I would really love to have someone come and do my grocery shopping. Or, hey, my washer and dryer is downstairs in the basement and I'm a fall risk. So that's really not a good idea for me to be going up and down those basement stairs. Great. Have someone come in and do the laundry for you. That's the thing, is people don't realize that you can start with as little amount of services as you need and work your way up. Or sometimes people will come to us, they've just had a surgery and maybe they had arm surgery and they can't do certain things like their laundry or shower or anything like that. And they get someone temporarily, they might get someone for a month or whatever, and then they don't need it anymore. That's fine too. It's
Yeah.
not like when you sign on with home care, that's going to be for the rest of your life. It can be if you need it, and you
Sure.
can
Yeah.
gradually increase your services. And again, our nurses, they are frequently going out and doing supervisions of our workers to make sure that the workers are doing what they're supposed to do and make sure that the client is getting the care that they need. But they're also doing observations and they're saying, okay, like, has any of the conditions changed with that client? And therefore, more services are needed in order to keep that person living safely and independently at home. And so again, our nurses go ahead and they do all that. They have the conversations. And so we can provide as much care as you need or as little care as you need. And you can have us either temporarily or you can grow with us. And, I think that that's something that people really overlook. And that's why most people are hesitant to embark on their home care journey, because they think that
Right.
they're going to be obligated or tied to it for some reason. And you're not, you're in the driver's seat. We're just helping, giving you the resources that you need.
Sure. And that makes sense. And going back to when you were saying, when you were younger and helping your grandmother and thinking about, hey, I just assume that everybody, well, either has family move in or has family there able to help. And for people that don't have that don't have close family or friends around, ABC can be there to help them. But at the same time, people that do have family that are coming in and helping, even people that have family members that are able to come in and assist, taking care of someone, depending on the level of care that they need, can be too much for the family members. And maybe, family members are going to do a certain amount or a bulk of some of the care, but even those people can still come in and hire ABC to help kind of fill in the gaps, right?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that is what we call respite care. So it's great if you have people that are in your family or your friendship circle that are going to come in and help take care of you. And, you know, I hope people that do have that realize how lucky they are, because not everyone has that opportunity. But, you know, the thing with that is exactly what you said. Caring for someone can be extremely difficult for the caregiver, not only physically, but also emotionally. And sometimes the emotional exhaustion far outweighs the physical exhaustion, to be honest, because you have to remember, if it's your family member, if it's your friend, you know, they love you. There's that emotional attachment there, and it can be very, very hard to see someone you love have a condition change that now requires you to do something so out of the ordinary for them. And I can speak to this on a personal level. I know that many people might look at me and, you know, I'm on the younger side, and they say, oh, well, what could this girl possibly know, right? Well, I know a few things. My mother, you know, sadly was diagnosed with ALS, let's see, in June. It's been an ongoing thing for about, you know, a few years. We've seen some decline, and now she is in a wheelchair. I have to help her get to the bathroom, get showered, get dressed. So, you know, I'm doing personal care along with my sister, and we have a pretty great arrangement right now where we're both helping out. But I will tell you firsthand, it's exhausting, and I would do anything for my mother. I mean, but it is just, there's so much that goes along with that. And yeah, there is going to be a time where Christy, my sister, and I are going to need respite care. And that's where ABC is going to come in handy, because, you know, I mean, it really, and I know this sounds cliche, so forgive me, but it really does take a village when it comes to, you know, people usually say it takes a village when it comes to raising children. Well, when it comes to caring for your loved ones and older adults and your elders, it does take a village, and you are going to need to rely on that village. And what we hope at ABC is that you will consider us part of your village, because we have the expertise, the knowledge, and the resources to be able to assist families no matter what their unique situation is. Because I will tell you, everyone has a different story. There's not one family dynamic that is the same as the other one, and we have seen it all. So we are here to help however we can. And again, I'm happy to have these conversations, because everything that I do, it comes from a place of knowing it personally, because I've lived it, I have done it, and am doing it. So I completely understand.
Yeah, and that kind of mental exhaustion part that can come in. It's hard to take care of someone else when your own mental health isn't where it needs to be. So to be able to say, well, I'm taking care of my family member, but I need a minute, right? I need to be able to go on Tuesdays and go shopping. So if I can have somebody that can come in and take care of things so I can go do that and decompress a little bit, sometimes that makes all the difference, because people can get burnt out if they're doing too much and don't have that help. So I love that. One of the things that ABC can do is, and yes, it's great for people that don't have anyone close by, but I think that when someone is taking care of a family member, they think they have to do it all. They don't realize that there's an option there where, hey, I just need a little help. Right. And it would make the difference.
Well, asking for help can be really, really difficult. And again, you're preaching to the choir when you say that, because I am the biggest offender of that. I will run myself to the ground seemingly to, you know, just so that I don't have to bother anyone or ask for help. And the thing is like what I've realized even with my own situation is that people genuinely want to help. So, you know, allow them to help you. Or if you see yourself kind of unraveling at the seams, don't wait until it's too late. It's okay. You deserve your own time, because you have your own life, right? Like when you're a caregiver, now you are not only taking care of, well, trying to take care of yourself, you're trying to take care of your, you know, elder family member. And maybe in a lot of these people, we call it the sandwich generation, they even have children that they're taking care of, or maybe they have older adult children that have grandchildren, and they're trying to help with the grandchildren. So, I mean, you've got people that are just, they are thrown with so many things, and they just need an outlet. They need a resource. So again, if it's just a few hours a day, or just 3 hours a week, or whatever it is, ABC can come in and fill the gaps where you need them to be filled. And caregiver burnout is such a real thing. There are so many resources out there. I go to seminars, and if anyone who's listening finds themselves in the situation where, hey, I am a caregiver, I am feeling exhausted, and they feel guilty about it, please don't feel guilty. It's just so common, and there are so many people in that same boat. So I'm happy to share those caregiver burnout resources with folks who might be interested in attending meetings. They used to have in-person meetings, but now they do a lot of stuff that's Zoom. And again, when our nurses go out and speak with the client and family members, if there are family members who are taking care of the client and are expressing that they're in need of respite services, not only will our nurses be able to, help them set up those services with ABC, but they'll also be able to connect those folks with me, so that I can then connect them with various different resources for themselves. And again, it's not like they have to pay for that. That's just, we are more than just a home care agency for the client. We also want to be a sounding board and a resource for the family members and friends and extended contacts as well.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right.
So to be able to rely on you guys to provide this information and be a resource for this information in some direction. Again, it can be a difference maker for people that don't know what to do next, or where to turn. So speaking of that, all right, so now I'm in a position where either I could use a little help from either myself or for a family member. And, again, I'm not really sure what's out there, what to do. A lot of times this is where people kind of get paralyzed, because that first step is difficult. Even asking for help, like you said, is difficult. But okay, I've gotten over that hurdle. I know I need some help. What do I do? Where do I start? How does the journey begin for kind of going through this process? Where's step one at?
So step one, I always say, is have you been working with an elder law attorney? And if their answer is yes, okay, great. If their answer is no, I say, please go see an elder law attorney like you, Mike, because that will ensure that they are in the best position possible, that their assets are, protected, and it will just shed a little bit more light on their, overall estate plan, so that they can make the most logical and economical decisions for themselves, right? So that's one. Yeah, so an elder law attorney is going to be the first spot, right? And then what we're going to say is, do you have a long-term care insurance plan? The long-term care insurance plans can be very helpful as far as affording care. So that means, they're all structured a little bit different. So it's every respective plan is different, but making sure, hey, if you have a long-term care insurance plan, get in touch with them to see how they are going to reimburse you. Can they pay for the services directly right from them? Or do you have to pay for them and then they will reimburse you? The other thing that we'll tell them to do is go speak to elder services. So depending upon what area they're in, we have great relationships with all of the ASAPs in the area, and we're so grateful for that. So, Mystic Valley Elder Services, the Elder Services of Merrimack Valley, who are now Age Span, Senior Care Incorporated, it's just Minuteman, all of them are fantastic. And those are really the end all be all resource for everything that you need when it comes to, aging in place. And everyone is different as far as what their assets are. So, some people might be on Medicaid, or some people may be going through the Mass Health Medicaid application process. Some
Yep.
people may be privately paying for services, which means that they're paying for services out of pocket. ABC can help with any of that. So whether you're just paying out of pocket, we can help you. Whether you're paying out of pocket because you're in the Mass Health, the Medicaid application process, and then you're going to be getting some state funding for services, we can help you there as well. If the application process has already been done, or you're already on Mass Health or Medicaid, we can help those clients as well, because those home care services that they get will be from the Elder Services Agency that they work with. So
Right.
again, we ask a couple of preliminary questions just to be able to put together the pieces of the puzzle to see, okay, where are you at? Who have you been talking to? And if you've missed a player in the puzzle, we can connect you. Because we want to make sure that our clients are protected, that they have all of the knowledge that they need in order to, like I said, make a well-informed decision. So just to recap, I would say the first steps are this: speak with an elder law attorney if you haven't already. Even if you have an estate plan, maybe an estate plan has been done a few years ago or whatnot, don't just assume that it's exactly what you need, because, and I know I'm preaching to the choir with you, Mike, right? So it's like your needs change, and it really is going to be critical in these times where now you're looking at getting care. You need to make sure that your legal documents are drafted up in a way that offers you the utmost protection. So speak with an elder law attorney, figure that out. Do you have any life insurance plans? If you do, get that contact information together, give them a call, inquire about that policy, because chances are when you signed up for the policy a couple years ago, or maybe many years ago, I guarantee you don't remember what that covered, right? So, kind of figure out. No one does, right? So like figure that out ahead of time, because then you're going to have a clearer head when you start to go in and say, okay, I need to make a decision on, setting up home care, and I need to know the answers to these questions. And then after you do that, go to the Elder Services Agency, see if there's any possibility that your loved one, whether it's you or your loved one, could qualify for services through the Elder Services Agency. Or if you don't, they just might have some other programs that might be interesting to you and might be helpful. And then, of course, we encourage everyone, just pick up the phone and call us. We at ABC, we answer the phones. You're talking to someone on our team. They can help direct you. And if they're being asked questions that they don't have the answers to, they will pass that along to me, and I am more than happy to send every bit of information that I know and that I can share. So realistically, we can make it easy. Just call ABC, and our number is 781-245-1880. That's the main line number for ABC Home Healthcare Professionals. And all they have to do is call, and we will help walk them through the rest.
You're going to be able to be their guide at that point if they pick up the phone. Now, if you decide, okay, we've done those things, and now it's appropriate for one of our RNs to go out there and make an assessment. What does that look like? Do they come to you? Do you go to them? How does that process look?
Yes, so we go to the client. And that's really important to know, because it doesn't matter if the client is home at their home address, or if that client is in the hospital because they had a recent hospital stay, or if they're in a rehab. Our nurses will go to where the client is. So you don't have to worry about, oh gosh, I have to wait until I get home, especially if a prospective client is recovering at a rehab. And if they are in need of services, the rehab may not discharge them until services are in place, because again, they're watching out for the client, and we're glad that they do that, because we wouldn't want to just send someone home for them to just hurt themselves again and then have to go back to the hospital, go back to the rehab. So we will meet the client wherever they are. We will make sure that if they are in a hospital, if they are in a rehab facility, or if they're just doing a temporary stay at an assisted living facility or anything like that, we will help make that transition back home as seamless as possible.
Okay. And then if one of your RNs makes some recommendations, has a recommendation for what the care plan should look like, at that point, are they also advising the client about the costs depending on the options that might be appropriate for the level of care they need?
So our nurses go out with what we call an intake packet. And in the intake packet, it does have the rates for people to look over, as well as the service agreement, because we cannot start any services until we have a completed service agreement. So the nurses will provide that information. However, for anything truly rates related or financial related, we have our finance department who have been doing this for years and years and years. They know the ins and outs like the back of their hand, and they can explain things very clearly to clients, because, you know, again, you're dealing with something that's an emotional decision, right? There's so much that's coming at you. There's so many logistics that you have to worry about, that when you start talking about the finances, it can get a little blurry, right? And we want everyone to know, okay, this is what you're paying. We support full transparency. And that's why we have our finance department that is there to assist with those questions whenever someone has them.
And then over time, if somebody is taking advantage of the services that ABC offers, whether I need more right now but less later because I'm recovering from a surgery, or I need, certain services today, but maybe, a couple of months from now, it needs to change. You guys will kind of modify or assess as time goes on to determine whether the services are still appropriate or need to change, right?
Absolutely. That's what our nurses are going out there doing, their frequent supervisions. And again, they're not only just watching the worker and the caregiver to make sure that they're doing what they need to do and make sure that they're following the care plan, but they're also assessing the client and making sure that the client is still, the conditions haven't changed. And if they have changed, okay, what kind of services would they be better suited for? And, again, we always say, we'd rather see someone start services with ABC as a companion, 3 hours a week, right? Something minimal like that. And then over time, gradually increase if it's needed, because, you may not need services today, but if I go downstairs tonight to do laundry and I fall down the stairs and I break a leg, well, now all of a sudden my situation has changed, right? And now I'm in the middle of a pretty severe scenario, and now I'm trying to organize all of this. It's a lot for the mind to handle. Whereas if you already have an established relationship with an agency like ABC, now you need extra services. Well, you're already in their system. Everything's already been done. It's just a nurse now just goes back out to assess your condition, gets the service recommendation over to us, and we get scheduling, and it makes it just so much easier. So again, you don't have to wait until, and we tell people, don't wait until an emergency happens. You want to do it sooner rather than later.
It's better to be able to do it when you're not under the gun, right? You don't have that pressure of, hey, this needed to start yesterday because I didn't have anything in place, and now I'm dealing with a situation that needs to immediately be resolved. When starting the process a little early, and I tell people this all the time too, it's much better to plan ahead, and then you've got adequate time to consider options and look at different things, instead of, I'm in an emergency situation that needs to be resolved, right this minute. So I love that they can, even if I'm not ready yet, I can call you and kind of have you there ready, so that if I need you, the process from going from there to actually getting services is quicker, because we've done some of the kind of prelim legwork,
Exactly. And when you talk about, just planning on the earlier side, not when you need it. A lot of people don't know, and you're going to be able to speak to this much more than I can, but, especially when you're Medicaid planning, there's a 5-year look back period on that. So, and I'll let you handle that with your clients, because that's your forte. But, I mean, that's why you really want to get on these things sooner rather than later. And I always say, I mean, yes, I'm 33 years old. I have life insurance plans. I want, you know, a home care rider on my insurance. I'm a little too young for it right now, so I have to wait 2 more years. But, these are the things that I'm already doing. And I'm only
Yeah,
doing
you're
them
thinking
because
about it.
I'm thinking about it and I know it because I'm in the industry. But for those who, are just listening today, if you don't have something like really like now is the time, because guess what? Life insurance policies aren't getting any cheaper as you get older. So if you
No.
don't have one, it's not the end of the world. Try to get one now. And I mean, even if it's costing a couple $100 or whatever, it's going to be far cheaper now than it will be if you decide in 10 years, oh, well, now's the time I want to do it. So.
Yeah, and that does happen. Sometimes people wait too long and the costs are so much more because they're waiting until they're older and then trying to explore this option. And it really needed to be done sooner. What about if I want to go, all right, I know I need to call you and find out what's what, but can I go to your website and dig around there a little bit first? I'm trying to do it on my lunch before I have time to pick the phone up. Is there a website? I'm sure you guys have one that I can go to and kind of find out some information. So what's that? What's a website?
Absolutely. So you can go to www.abchhp.com. And we have tons of information on our website as well as resources. And we also have a home care news blog where you can find some really helpful articles, especially like right now, one of the most recent articles is about, tax tips for seniors. And, we don't claim to be financial advisors or anything like that, or experts in any other area than home care. But these are just kind of sharing some tips that we've heard from our contacts. And we're hoping that by sharing this information, it will spark folks to, maybe have a conversation about them with their CPA, when they go ahead and they file their taxes and they have their tax meeting. So everything up under the sun, if we think that it's helpful for clients or prospective clients to know, we try to share that information. And then, of course, I mean, anyone can reach out to us at any time, me specifically, if they just wanted to, schedule some time to have a coffee and just chat about things, or if they have any questions as far as recommendations and things like that, or other resources, especially like caregiver burnout resources. I can be reached directly at Michelle, MICHELLE at abchhp.com. So that's my personal email. So they can email me at any time, and I'm more than happy to chat with anyone. And again, it's no obligation. It's just me sharing the resources because I believe how important this is, and I just want to help folks.
Sure. And which is fantastic. For people that are just listening to the podcast and not watching the video, just do me a favor, give the phone number one more time.
Of course, yes. So the main line for ABC Home Healthcare Professionals is 781-245-1880. And we would love to hear from you again, whether it's just you're starting to think about home care, or if you're really ready to pull the trigger and you want to bring in home care for either you or your loved one. We are happy to talk with you. So please give us a call, 781-245-1880.
That's perfect. And, as I mentioned earlier, Michelle, you and I have talked about this stuff before. We've talked about, what you do and what I do. So, I can say to clients of my office that they should be picking up the phone and calling you, because you and your company and your coworkers just are an amazing resource for shedding light on this whole thing, on, again, what the way it works, the process, what's available, how you go about it, really helping people just take that really important first step, but then, going beyond that too, and continuing to, have a plan for services evolve and change over time as it needs to. So I can say wholeheartedly to my clients, call Michelle because she knows what she's talking about.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mike.
Of course. So I just want to thank you again for taking the time to be on the podcast today. I just think the information here is so important. I know that our clients and people that listen to our podcast are going to find it super informative and useful. So I can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your day today to do this.
Of course. And thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed this. And I mean, God, I feel like we could talk for another 3 hours, but I'll save that for when folks give us a call or send me an email. But like I said, it's such a pleasure to be able to work with, professional partners like yourself. And we appreciate everything that you do for the elders and older adults that need your expert guidance on this, sometimes challenging part of their lives as they're navigating. So thank you again for being a, trusted partner of ours. And we look forward to helping anyone who's listening or who thinks of someone that might need some help and guidance. We're always there for them, just like I know you are.
That's perfect. All right, Michelle, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. This was awesome. Thank you again.
Thank you. Have a great week.